Can a buyer back out of a real estate contract? That's the question we're talking about right now. Hi again, Kathleen Carmichael here. I'm a local real estate agent here in the Atlanta area. And if you like real estate, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click that little bell so you get reminded when I put out a new video. I try and put out a new video every week that helps you navigate the real estate market and get up to date on what's happening. So can a buyer get out of a real estate contract? That's the question. This came to my attention because last week I had to terminate a contract for some of my buyers. And I thought, that's a good question. People probably wonder, what happens if something happens during the negotiations or something happens after the negotiations? Once you're under contract, can you get out of the contract? Well, the answer to the short degree is yes, of course you can get out of it, but there's some qualification. In my buyer's instance, we were in our due diligence period. So we in Georgia have what's called a due diligence period. It's standard in our contracts, and that means that the buyer has the ability to take a free look at the property for a set amount of time, and the time period is negotiated. In our instance, it was 10 days. So we had a home inspection and they discovered some structural issues that we also had a structural engineer come out and take a look at, and the structural engineer indicated that the fix was $10,000. Well, that's a lot of money, and the seller didn't want to do that, and my buyers didn't want to do that, so we terminated the contract. When you terminate a contract during the due diligence period, the buyer gets their money back. So it's very easy, it's cut and dry in our standard Georgia real estate contracts. There's some other ways that you can get out of the contract where it's very easy and it's cut and dry, and that's during your contingency periods. So typically in a regular home sale, you'll have a contingency period for financing or a contingency period for appraisals. And what that means is if you fail to obtain financing, then you can get out of the contract. If you fail to, or if the appraisal comes in below the agreed contract price, then either the contract can be renegotiated or the parties can part ways. But what happens if all of your contingency periods and your due diligence period has passed? That's where getting out of a contract can get really sticky. Let me just predicate this by saying that there's probably no judge in the United States that's going to force a buyer to buy a home and live in it. But that doesn't mean that the other parties that were involved in the contract cannot sue the buyer for damages. So let's say you decide you don't want the house at the last minute the day before closing. Well, the seller, who's probably packed up all their furniture, has rented a hotel for the night, they've incurred a lot of costs, not to mention the fact that their home has been off the market and they've been pushing away other buyers. They might come after you if you decide to cancel the contract at the last minute. Another person that might come after you is your own real estate agent. Some real estate companies will sue you for what's called non-performance because you didn't hold up your end of the bargain. You had made a contract with your real estate agent, they performed, you didn't. That's called non-performance. The best strategy when you're buying a home, if you don't want to get into any of this sticky area, is to enter into a contract with what we call good faith. That means that if things go the way that you want them to, you have the willingness and the readiness to perform on the contract. If you act in good faith, then most everything will be okay. There are some instances where if you back out of the contract at the last minute, the seller might feel compassion for you. I had a client years ago who actually lost her job 2 days before closing, and she had to pull out of the contract. She absolutely could not take the financial burden of buying the home. She was outside of her due diligence period, and the seller understood, and they just let her walk away, and they ended up selling their townhome to someone else. In situations like that, people are human beings, and typically they'll understand. But the best strategy is to go into the contract with good faith, have a great real estate agent navigate you through those time periods, those critical time periods of due diligence and contingency periods, so that you make sure that if you are at all unsure about the property, then you can do it within those time periods where you are 100% safe in getting your earnest money back. So I hope that this helps for you. I'm going to do some more about terminating contracts because I think it's a really interesting topic. But if you have any questions or if you need a real estate agent here in Atlanta, I'd love to talk to you. My number is 404-931-2589. You can call me anytime and check out my website. The information's below. Hope you have a great day. Take care.